Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Matthew. Welcome back. Today's video, we are going to continue on with the WWE Mattel Retros line. We are currently in Series 9, and Series 9 is actually the second of three releases back in 2019. Before we get into the actual releases, there's a kind of an interesting conversation my wife and I had the other day, and she called me an influencer, and she made a statement about, how I'm a YouTuber. I know, how dare she? No, because I found it interesting that she would refer to me as a YouTuber, though, because I kind of look at myself as just a guy who makes the most simple videos and posts them online. I don't consider myself to be the most traditional YouTuber. When I think the term YouTuber, I think of, people that have like, a million subscribers and they spend like $20,000 on like cameras and microphones and, editing tools and software and things like that. And people that actually, get paid to make the videos, and that's pretty much their business, is making videos on YouTube. So I don't necessarily classify myself as a YouTuber. Not really. I mean, this right here, I do this for fun. Now, if it ever gets to a point in life where, I reach the capacity where I'm able to get monetized, of course, I would love to be able to get paid for doing this. But in the short term, that's my whole purpose, is to kind of, have fun, meet other people in the community, and kind of, talk about things that interest us, right? So, mentioning me being a YouTuber, kind of calling me an influencer, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put that theory to the test, and I want to see how much I can actually influence other people. So, with that being said, one of the things I've talked about in the past is I am not afraid to I'm not afraid to call out other YouTubers, other content makers. If there's someone that I watch frequently and I think that they produce an amazing content, and if I think that someone else would enjoy the work that's put out there. So, there are a couple of Jasons I want to bring up. And one of the first guys I want to talk about is Jason from Blatant Interference Wrestling. So, guys, I highly recommend you check out his channel and, throw a subscription his way. He definitely deserves it. If you're not a fan of modern day wrestling, live action TV, I completely understand, because I haven't been into it in over 2 decades. To me, it's very soap opera-ish. What that man does with his LJN figures far exceeds anything you would ever find in real life action. Everything from the commentary to the storytelling to the actual matches themselves, incredible. If you guys are subscribed to me, or if you've watched my channel and you're interested in subscribing to me, I highly recommend you guys giving him a look as well. Blatant Interference Wrestling on YouTube. Awesome channel, and just a great overall person. So that's Jason number 1. I also bring up Jason number 2. So Jason Pumphrey, if you're a fan of New 80s Revolution, another Jason, you might get a kick out of JP's World of Wrestling. So JP, a lot of history, a lot of backstories with not only meeting people in person, but just knowledge of wrestling and things that his remembrances of different matchups and stuff. I told you guys, I got like the worst memory in the world. And especially over the last several years, my memory has dwindled so badly that I'm kind of like on the border of, no, I don't want to say that. I'm not there yet, only because they kind of tell me I'm not old enough for that. But my memory is crap. You guys know that. So JP's World of Wrestling, again, both are just so extremely fun channels to watch, and they're probably the two channels I watch more than anything nowadays. And definitely, if I can influence you one bit, I highly recommend checking them out and giving them a subscription if you like what you see. With that being said, we are now moving on to the bread and butter of the video, which is of course the review of the Mattel Retros. So I absolutely love this series. If it's my personal opinion, if this isn't the #1 Mattel Retros series release, it's #2, #3. It's got to be up there. It's just an amazing quartet of figures. Well, maybe not quartet, quadruple figures, set of quadruple figures. And it all begins with the quality Macho Man. Now, why do I say that this is quality compared to the first figure we saw some series ago? The whole WCW, NWO madness, I didn't really care for that Macho Man. Fantastic character. I love the Macho Man character, persona. And, the color scheme is fantastic, but this right here, your green trunks or your orange trunks, pinkish type trunks that he wore. In fact, I think this was actually going to be like a kind of like a prototype for the WWF Hasbros back in the day. I could be remembering incorrectly, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that this was one of the original designs for Macho Man. And eventually they ended up going with the orange trunks version. Again, I could remember that incorrectly, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what the detail was. And the fact that, Mattel Retros released a second Macho Man in the line, and it's one of the most perfect ones of all, it's incredible. And I'll probably keep mentioning it within every single series. There are a certain set of characters who I believe 100% should have been made in the first several series. And it centers around your old school wrestlers. I'm talking, for me, 80s and into the 90s. Guys like Macho Man should have been in the first series. I think Hulk Hogan should have been first series. You put Warrior and Undertaker there, perfect. Great selection. I also think that, Bret Hart would have been an incredible addition. Andre the Giant. How have we not had, in 14 series, how have we not had an Andre the Giant retro? That is insane. But he is due in shortly, so I do think he will be in either 15 or one of the subsequent series. So definitely be on the lookout for that figure. With Series 9, because these figures on card are like so crazy expensive, and you don't really find the figures loose, and not these particular figures. And if you do, again, on auction, you're probably going to look at $20, $30, if not more, for each of these figures loose. And when it comes to the retros, I'm just not paying more than $10 for a loose figure anymore. I won't do it. Not for this line. So, Macho Man, a much better version than what we got from the WCW version. And when was that one released? I'm just going to back up a little bit here. Macho Man came out in Series 5 back in 2017. So 2017, that means that was the third of 3 releases in 2017. Nope, 2017 was 4 releases. Sorry, got to go back and forth with my notes here. Yep, 2017 had 5 releases. See what you nope. 4 releases. Series 5 was 4 of 4. Okay, yeah, I kind of had these written up and down instead of sideways, so kind of threw me off a bit. Do you see anything different? This is just the figures that we've seen where the arm shoots out, lifts them back, and swings forward. One of the better poses of the Mattel Retro line. And another thing I absolutely love about this particular series, you don't have 2 of the worst poses in this series at all, which is great. Because normally that whole fuse legs in pose, which was coming out in like every single series, I hate that. And the other one where the arm positioning is straight out, but the leg keeps kicking up, I hate those poses. They're terrible. And you have 4 quality figures here. And like I said, if Series 9 is not the greatest of the set, this series has to be on the top 3, top 4 at worst. Amazing. So, had Hasbro completed into the mid and then late 90s, there are always characters that we talk about which more than likely would have been made. I've mentioned guys like Diesel, who we're going to see in the next series. I've talked about guys like Mabel. Hasn't come out for the retros yet, but I'm still hoping. We do have a Mabel for grapplers and gimmicks. I felt like, I don't know, the Godwins would have been a good one. You know, Duke the Dumpster Drosy. I think we probably would have gotten Isaac Yankem. Before he transitioned to Kane, I think we would have gotten Isaac Yankem in the mid-90s, and I think we would have gotten to Kane towards the latter half of the 90s. So I still think those would have been on the way if Hasbro had continued on with the line. This next figure is 100% a character that should have been made in the 90s. And whenever I talk about what should have been, you know, Diesel is always my number one answer. Mabel is either number 2 or number 3. We'll say Mabel's number 3. The second person I always talk about is Dustin Rhodes Goldust. One of the most iconic figures. And when I talk about figures, I'm talking about figurehead as in the person. Dustin Rhodes was already a legend as the Natural in WCW. And then coming into WWF, you know, following in the footsteps once again of his father, Dusty. Putting on this gimmick was absolutely fantastic. And kind of a funny story. I don't know if it's an embarrassing story or not, but so in the early 90s, I used to always watch Sailor Moon. And to me, Sailor Moon was, you know, one of the best animated TV shows ever. And there was a character in that show was called Tuxedo Mask. You know, Darian, he would transform into Tuxedo Mask. He'd just be, you know, top hat, black cape, you know, black pants and jacket with a white shirt. And I kind of created a character that was modeled after Tuxedo Mask, except I called him Goldust. And the entire outfit was gold, and instead of throwing red roses, he threw gold roses. And I don't remember if I created that character before the Goldust wrestler entered WWF, or if I created that character afterwards. But either way, just the name Goldust kind of, you know, plays a role in nostalgia and history for me. Just kind of like that fun character that I created. And he's just another one of those awesome figures where, you know, arm pops up and you got the little swinging motion and whatnot. And I don't know why they kind of tried turning Goldust gay or gay-ish to an extent. Like, he used to always flirt with Razor Ramon and always used to creep Scott Hall out. I don't know if it was literally creeping him out in real life or if it was just like, you know, just kayfabe, you know, where he was just playing along, you know, based on the performance that they were supposed to be given. There was actually one match where, you know, Goldust actually planted one on. And I'm like, you got this beautiful woman in your corner, and you're making out with Goldust, kind of always, you know, like you know, touching himself sexually and whatnot. Goldust was just such a fun character, such a unique guy, and bringing him back about 2 decades later to partake in one of the, you know, your Royal Rumble matches, and then he had both Goldust and you had Cody Rhodes in the match together. That was pretty incredible. Goldust, again, I don't have a loose figure for him. I hope to get one of each of these figures at some point, but right now, it's probably mid to lower priority for me. The next one, I don't know a lot about this character. In fact, I probably don't know anything about this character, but Samoa Joe. A lot of the folks that come from Samoa, or the Samoan family, I kind of think about again, I butchered the name, but Noe family. I don't know if he's part of that family or not. He kind of looks like Yokozuna in the face. So could he be related to Rodney? It's possible. Again, I didn't do any research on this guy. I've never seen him wrestle. I just know the figure or the name because of the Mattel Retros. There are many, many characters in the Mattel Retro line I never would have heard of if I never started collecting this particular line. You know, the Hardy brothers are an example with Matt and Jeff Hardy. Samoa Joe is an example. I think I was familiar with Randy Orton already. But, there's just so many folks like that. I'm just trying to look at the roster over here with the loose figures. Braun Strowman, I think that's somebody I knew about previously, but either way, he does have, again, one of my favorite body types. And when you look at the figure, all it is, arms straight up, and it looks like he has the slamming motion. So, a perfect pose, a perfect overall design for the figure. Great colors and detail. Incredible pose. Again, if I'm looking for a loose figure that I'm okay paying up for, this would definitely be one of those guys I could go for. Just a fantastic piece. And I kind of feel like a lot of these guys that I didn't watch in WWF, and I'm kind of thinking that at some point they may have been like ECW or AEW wrestlers and then joined the big roster. If that's the case, probably, but I can't say 100%. Again, I don't follow that type of wrestling, so I'm not sure. All I know is awesome figure for the Mattel line. They did a fantastic job with this figure. Last figure to look at. And it's kind of funny. This is probably the worst figure among the four. Even though this is probably a top 10, top 15 figure at worst among the entire WWE Mattel Retro line. So that just shows you how deep that this particular series is. And it includes Randy Orton. Now, Randy Orton is just another Macho Man, body type, so we already know the pose is fantastic. And maybe it's because namesake-wise, it just doesn't mean as much to me as the Macho Man figure, but, I mean, with the overall detail, with all the tattoos, same body type, you would think theoretically that this would be a more impressive figure than what you get from Macho Man, but I have history with Macho Man. I don't have so much with Randy Orton. Randy Orton, what do I know about Randy Orton? I think the first time I ever saw Randy Orton wrestle, go figure, Royal Rumble. Because what else do I watch? So I was in Camp Brown. So when was I in 2016, 2017? So I was in Camp Brown, Kandahar in January 2017, and in January, they have the Royal Rumble. And I had a TV set up in my room, and it was connected to little cords and stuff, so we were able to get, AFN, Armed Forces Network, on the TV. And I was able to watch the Royal Rumble. I'm thinking the Rumble probably aired at like 3 or 4 a.m., local Afghanistan time. And it was probably, that 2017 Royal Rumble was probably the first Rumble I've seen since maybe the 95 Royal Rumble, 96 Royal Rumble. And that was insane how many years had passed between me actually seeing that competition. I had absolutely no idea who any of the guys who entered that Royal Rumble was. I just wanted to watch it because, again, it's just an entertaining sporting event. And that's where I kind of learned about Randy Orton, because he was the one that won that competition in 2017. So it kind of introduced me to him, introduced me to the Viper, I guess they call him. Yeah, I think Stone Cold was the Rattlesnake, so I think he was called the Viper. A fun matchup, always. I would have loved somebody that I actually knew win the tournament, but still, I mean, I think he's won multiple Royal Rumbles. I could be wrong about that, but one of the elite wrestlers of today's professional wrestling, and he carries on flawlessly with the Orton family name. So I love when father, son, grandson, etc. kind of carry on the tradition. So that's pretty spectacular. Well, everyone, that does close out your 4 figures for the 2019 Series 9 release. In the next video, Series 10, we're gonna look at the last 10 or last 4 original releases to the Mattel Retros. And if you're watching this video for the first time and didn't see any of the other reviews, essentially, Series 10 at one point was the last series for the Mattel Retros. It ended in 2019. but came back in 2022 with Mattel Creations. And over the last couple years, we got waves 1 through 4, which we just simply classify as series 11 through 14. Alright, so that's going to close out the video for now, guys. Please check out both Blatant Inference Wrestling and JP's World of Wrestling. Let's get their subscriber count up. I'm going to check their pages on and off over the next couple of days. And you know what? If their numbers climb exponentially, hey, maybe I'll have a little bit more influence than I thought. I just recommend it, guys. Like I said, both channels are so much fun, and I'm pretty sure you'll get a kick out of it as well. So, thanks, guys, for watching. Talk to you in the comments, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.